Yeah, it's Sunday, people. Nice and sunny down here in St. Kitts. How y'all doing, man? Had a bit of a long night last night, man. I went out, had to sneak watch the fight on my phone. Shout outs to the Zone for that app, so I can watch the fight during a boring family dinner. The highlight of last night was watching two of my wife's cousins fight, but almost fight. I don't know why they broke them up. What's up, Laurent? I don't know why they brought them up, for real. I really don't understand. That would have been great last night. But I got a chance to watch the fight on my cell phone. It's weird because I spent all that time all day yesterday watching all these undercard fights. And as soon as it was time for Dillian White and Povetkin to fight, it was time for me to go to this family dinner. What y'all thought about the fights, man? I thought it was all right. Let me first talk about the event, though, because I think a lot of times people underestimate location, build-up, presentation in making up the whole atmosphere of a fight. Even if you're not there live, how atmosphere and all of that make up the vibes of a fight. And I got to say congratulations to Matchroom, who just doing it so much better than everybody else. Matchroom seems to be the only company willing to do things a bit different. Like even in the lockdown, Matchroom was doing fights. Matchroom was doing fights in Tulsa on the street, Eddie Hearn backyard. Just different places, right? And now this fight in Gibraltar, you know, just the whole build-up of getting the fight there and doing the weigh-ins outside in you know, on the football field next to the mount. What's up, John Dealey? Hey, John, if you want to get on with me. That's the whole build-up of it, the presentation. I think Matchroom does all of that so much better than everybody else. I think it's disappointing we don't see this so much. Like, I remember, if you are an MMA fan, you remember something like Pride FC and some of the other Japanese, like K1 Heroes, right? And they did their presentation simply better than you. Like UFC always came off as second rate. It wasn't as flashy, it wasn't as this, it wasn't as that. Always seemed kind of dingy and second rate, but Pride and K1 Heroes was just a bit more flashy. And that helps to build a fight. That helps to build an event. When you hear Pride FC fight in Saitama Super Arena, you already know this shit's going to be special. You've seen Eddie Hearn do more and more production, big production displays, just for regular fight nights, just normal pay-per-views maybe. Taking risks to do things. I respect him for that. Mr. Dealey, good day. John?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hearing you.
It's all right. I'm just trying different headphones.
Okay, I hear you good. You sound clear.
My end. So you're talking about the actual event itself?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off talking about I want to spend some time on Eddie Hearn and the way he starts to build events, how he produces events, how his team produces events, how, you know, just the whole vibes of Matchroom. Matchroom seem to just be ahead when they seem to understand production a bit more than like other companies who seem to be stuck in the old, started the old way. You know what I mean?
I think it's a couple of things. I think it's Eddie's age. You know, he's actually half Bob's age, and Frank is easily old enough to be his dad. So, well, I think Eddie's younger than me. He's only about 40, isn't he?
I think he's about 40. He just turned 40.
I think he's going to be 41 this year. So, you know, he understands the modern world so much better than Bob and Frank, who don't understand all the different forms of media to promote stuff. So, for years, Matchroom put all of their fights onto YouTube straight away because Eddie understood that putting that type of spotlight on his fighters will get their names out there. Whereas Frank was trying to slap, you know, copyright issues on people for stealing his products on YouTube up until very recently. And now, you know, after a delay, they're available. It's just basic stuff like that. He's just more aware of how the world works now.
It's just interesting for me that Frank, as you said, you know, Frank had a card. I didn't even know Frank had a card. I didn't even know Frank had Nathan Garman and them fighting. Who knew that?
I didn't really know about it until people started talking about it last night. He hasn't got the money to pump stuff out anyway.
I'm
Frank's
hearing
in trouble.
you, but what I'm saying is, flying to Gibraltar, when you go to these places and you open up new markets for yourself, Gibraltar is not really a new market because it is a UK governed territory, I think it is. But the people there don't have no big events like that.
It is. Gibraltar's a hangover from the empire, so it was one of the ports on the way to India, basically.
Right.
So that's why it's still a British protectorate, I think. Yeah.
We have a situation now. He flies to Gibraltar. He makes a big deal out of it. And location is important because even in the lockdown, I used to have conversations on this stream about where could you possibly stage a card. People we talked about staging a car close to the beach, you know, doing it like almost like Street Fighter, like a video game. And you put these events in these sort of, well, quote unquote, exotic places. Just understands it better. So I really have to shout out Eddie Hearn and Matchroom for just doing it better than other people, right? Eddie Hearn has people who are his detractors, but I think Eddie Hearn thus far is ahead of the game, especially in 2021. He's ahead. He's winning.
There's no question that he's doing better than all the other promoters. And there's a couple of reasons for it. So there's a residual dislike of Eddie Hearn in the UK because there was a period of time when the UK wasn't really doing that well in boxing. And Eddie was putting on pay-per-views and the Sky Saturday Fight Night cards weren't that great. So Eddie would come on and do his job and sell the fights and tell you how good they were. And that created a bit of backlash within sort of real boxing hardcore people who over-intellectualize everything, but overlook the fact that Eddie will say this himself, it's his job to sell you the fights. But what he's managed to do over the years is, in tandem with the British success at Olympic level, build a stable of fighters that have been successful on a world level. And he's continued to pump that money back into the events because he understands business and how it works. So now he cares about putting on production because he understands that it's going to get people's attention. Then they're going to buy the fight and see what's going on. Whereas Bob I don't think he cares anymore. I think Bob and Frank really need to just retire and hand it over. You know, at the end of the day, they've both got successors. Frank's got a son who's involved with the business.
Isn't it 2 of them?
Possibly. I don't know enough about Frank's business, but the main point is Frank ain't letting go. Whereas Barry Hearn, he doesn't have anything to do with it anymore, does he? When he does pop up, it's usually a bit of a disaster because he's an old man as well. I mean, I don't know if you remember the last time he actually popped up on what Barry actually managed to do.
Yeah, the slave famine.
Yeah, exactly. And he was promoting Dillian's fight of all people as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this is why people of that generation need to not be involved in this sort of stuff, because I don't think Barry meant it in the way it was taken out of context.
Nah, he didn't.
But it doesn't matter because he's not savvy enough to the way the world works to realize that you don't go anywhere near a comment like that if you're a white man. You just leave it alone. You just don't go anywhere close to it. You don't even stand next to it. You just don't have anything to do with it. And Frank's of Barry's generation, they were in direct competition in like the 90s.
Yep.
So they just need to give it up. And on top of that, Eddie's trying to be imaginative and come up with ways to get people's attention, to get interest in boxing when it's difficult. And he's done better than everybody else because he's actually tried.
Yeah, that just last night was just another indicator that the man is just on a different level. A different level. He winning right now. PBC still in the dark. Nobody knows what the hell they're gonna do. Top rank.
I think Fox have got a bit of buyer's regret, to be honest.
Well, that's
I think Fox are looking to just get rid.
I think if Fox had the opportunity to get another placeholder sport for boxing, because this is about filling up time slots, and if they could find something else, they'll be gone. Like when they lost UFC, PBC was because PBC, well, at least in my market, was on Spike, I think it was, and after they dropped PBC, they were kind of in a no man's land, and Fox picked them up, and then I don't know. But PBC has an issue with it. They have a bunch of lazy fighters under their banners. A lot of lazy fighters.
Well, they've created that situation. I mean, that's my opinion. So if the intention is true, and it's certainly the marketing line that's put out there, that Al Heyman wanted to protect fighters so that they were better looked after, he seems to have taken away their hunger. But the worst thing he's done is keep them all inactive. For whatever reason, they're all inactive. And they're quite happy being inactive and not fighting anybody. And trying to build their profile on social media. I mean...
That's right.
Who cares about a boxer's social media? The only thing I want to see on a boxer's social media is them training. Right. I don't want to see anything else.
And announcing when's your next fight.
Announcing when your next fight is, celebrating your wins, and giving credit to your opponent on your losses, and training. Right. That's it. I don't need to see anything else.
Well, as we talk about the event, we gotta talk about the card last night. We spoke about the externalities, how it looked, and all of that. And again, it looked great, man. He did a good job. Let's talk about the event. Glad you're here with me, John Dealey, because some of these people I didn't have any idea who the hell they were. Yusuf Kamari and these people. But we're gonna start at least by. Let me start with the Chris Congo fight. I was backing Chris Congo. I like his vibes. I thought he had potential. I didn't know who the Mickinson fellow was, so I really couldn't, have no comments about him. But I like Chris Congo. He lost the fight. Did you watch that fight, John Dealey?
I sort of half watched it. But going into it, I knew that both of them had been avoided. So they're both seen as a reasonably high risk for a reasonably low reward. And I thought it was quite a well-matched fight in terms of, the level that they're at. they're trying to emerge as British level fighters. You know,
Right.
there's no point trying to make out like they're trying to do anything more than that. But that's okay, because it was a competitive fight, which is the key. I think it was a genuinely competitive fight, and it was close. And Congo lost, but I don't necessarily think there's any disgrace in that. I think you can go away and come back again.
Yeah, like when he lost, right? I was like, you know what? There's some losses that it's like, okay, you lost, and there's some where you get stopped, and people are like, nah, I don't want to see you again. But Congo didn't lose badly. He didn't get beat up. He didn't get embarrassed or nothing like that. And it was a good fight. It was a decent fight. Congo really couldn't get a read on him because he got some early rounds, because he has this style where he just kind of rushes in and flings hand. And Congo really couldn't get a read on his timing on him. And I think even after that, Chris kind of played it a bit cautious. You know, Mickinson kind of slowed down. Congo caught him a little bit, kind of slowed down, but Chris still was a bit cautious, because even when he did slow down, he would catch Congo with some little sneaky punches that would kind of stagger him a bit. So I think he threw off Congo's rhythm a lot, you know, because, you know, he's not as orthodox as like the guy Luther Clay who he beat. So I don't know. I mean, as you said, I think it's a good fight for them to emerge on a domestic level in England. I like that England has a good domestic scene. You know what I mean? Like in America, them guys should be fighting more for like the NABF and NABO titles, and they don't even care. You know, they just assume that because I'm American, I'm world level. No, you're not really world level.
The thing about it here in the UK, for years we didn't have any world level fighters, but boxing's always had, you know, a following. So people like Henry Cooper, when I was growing up in the 80s, Henry Cooper still did loads of TV adverts, and he was immensely popular just because he'd been British heavyweight champion for a long time. And we've always followed like the Lonsdale belt, and a British level fight is a fight that will get interest in the UK. And you're right, that should be something that happens in America. It's missing from America for whatever reason. And they'd rather come up with all these baby belts pretending that they're a world title than actually, if you were the best at national level in America, that would actually be pretty good.
Right.
That would be a more credible title than all this sort of regular interim stupid titles that they come up with now, like the WBA, you know, super world, regular interim, God knows what else they have going on.
Well, PBC loves those regular titles. Love them regular titles. They're collecting them because they're hoping to position their fighters to where if fighters abdicate the belts, their guys can get elevated.
I think that's part of it, and I think there's another element. They've part of their TV contract, I believe, is to guarantee so many world championship fights. So that's a way for them to fulfill their contract easily. And it's also, I think, one of the reasons they don't go in for unifications, because once they've unified the belts, it's harder for them to fill their obligation for how many world title fights they're going to put on.
I see. What a good point. What other fights were on?
The Cheeseman fight.
Cheeseman. It was an exciting fight, but I think I don't really like Ted Cheeseman. Ted Cheeseman, he'll always been a good fight. But Ted Cheeseman is the type of guy who always looks like he's on the verge of losing. Like he always looks like, you know, he's gonna get his ass whooped every fight. And I understand that he don't care about his face too much.
It's a bit late to start caring that. That ship sailed down.
Yeah, so, but Ted Cheeseman is a guy who he's not gonna be hard to find. He's going to be there. So Cheeseman is the prototypical or the example of a guy who is going to always be top level domestic. Is that right to you, John Daly?
That's exactly what the fight was for. that was a British title fight. That was a Lansdale belt fight. And I don't think he can get any higher than that. And that's okay. That's his level. And he'll be an undercard fighter. And he'll probably try and keep that belt for as long as he can. Maybe try and get a European title shot. But he's already been beaten at that level. I don't think he's good enough for European level. But he's exactly what I'm talking about on a domestic scene. Like, he isn't that good. I described him as cannon fodder yesterday. If you want to enjoy some skilled boxing, you need to go and have a drink or do something else when Cheeseman is fighting.
Yeah.
If you want to be entertained by, a brutal scrap, then he's your man.
He's your man.
Yeah. If you want to see a war with a lack of skill and a lot of heart, that's Ted Cheeseman, isn't it?
That's right. I think he tried to step up against Garcia and got beat up by Garcia for the European level. Yeah.
And then he took another loss at sort of fringe European level after that. He's found his level. That was for the British title last night. Yeah,
so that's it for him then. So you don't think he can go no further than that?
I mean, he can try, and he might manage to scrape out a European title if he gets the right opponent. But he's a domestic level fighter, and in the UK, there's a market for that.
Oh yeah, no doubt,
and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. He'll do well. Eddie will put him on undercards, and from an undercard fight, I think he has a role. I think that's the best way to put it.
Would someone like Cheeseman is what, 154, right?
I think so. That might have been middleweight. I'd have to double check. He's around that. He's either light middle or middle.
Yeah, well. Toby Bartlett says Cheeseman is only 25 years old. His face won't allow him to have a long career, in my opinion. You got that right.
Just his face, his whole style. I mean, that is not. You're not going to have a long career fighting like that. It's not possible. He's going to be
punchy soon. I mean, that guy. Look, I was like, wow, bro. He's like, yeah, I hit you, hit me back. What?
So some of those guys don't ever get punchy. It's funny how it plays out, but it's not advisable. And you certainly won't be able to do that for a long time.
I see Canelo here with some luxurious hair. Who's this? Oh.
Yeah, how's it going?
What's up, Mark?
How's it going?
What's this picture, bro?
This is proof that Canelo is the last king of Scotland.
Mark?
Yes?
There's a contingent of Irish people in Mexico, and I've been led to believe that's where he gets his ginger ancestry from.
Well, he has one of his names is Bannigan, and that is of Irish descent. So
yeah,
there you go. So Canelo might be.
He's got Irish blood in there.
Of course. Sure. I mean, looking at Canelo, he's not native Mexican. Like, he's not one of the native Mexicans. He
looks more like Conor McGregor than Conor McGregor does.
Yeah. Mark.
Yes.
What was it? Gibraltar on the Rock. What the hell was it again?
I don't know what
Rumble on the Rock. I'm pretty certain.
Rumble on the Rock out in the Rock of Gibraltar. First things first. I want to go to Gibraltar. I want to go.
We started off talking about the production quality of Matchroom and what it does to sort of hype up the overall event. Like, in my opinion, I find Matchroom seems to get it more, that production values matter, location matters, putting importance on how something looks is important. And I don't think like a lot of other promotional companies understand that. Am I right or wrong?
I think you're right. A lot of promotional companies don't get it. Queensbury definitely don't. They have some of the worst production ever.
That's not necessary. You picking on Frank. That's not necessary. You and John are picking on Frank. Don't do that.
That's not picking on him. That's called a fact. It's terrible to look at. It's like looking at it's like going into a local cafeteria. It's like going into a cafeteria.
It's constructive criticism. The only other sort of promoters that I actually think put effort into it are the Sauerlands. Like the World Series of Boxing looked pretty good.
The World Series of Boxing production is phenomenal. The other one that does do a good job, based off what I've seen, like, is Triller. Triller did a good job with their production. Got to be honest.
Yeah, they've got Snoop though. Isn't Snoop like actually one of the? Isn't he on the board of directors or whatever?
I have no idea.
I think Snoop is actually involved with the financials of it.
Well, they do a good job. I mean, PBC.
But are they a boxing promoter? I mean,
they're an event promoter. They're an event promoter. That's what they do. They promote events. But yeah, go ahead, Mark.
As far as it goes, like Top Rank, their production doesn't seem to be anything at the moment. It's just like it's just fighters fighting in a hall. That's it. That's fine, I guess. PBC, their events, man. You look around and you see like all these different colors. Like it's like they've like painted out like cardboard cutouts and stuff to put them in as fans. I just don't get that either. I mean, with Matchroom, from what I've seen, like when it was Fight Camp, I love the backdrop, the Rumble on the Rock, man. I want to go to Gibraltar. That's what I want to do. I want to go there now. They've highlighted the whole week. Did you see the build up the whole week? They were out at different parts. They were at the port. They were up by the mountainside. You seen the backdrop, everything. I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
They made me want to be a tourist.
I think if you think about it, Eddie's being really smart, because at the moment, the way to attract a site fee, the justification for a big site fee, is to put where you are on the map. So Eddie put some work into showcasing Gibraltar to show these other people who are supposed to be offering him site fees what it will do for them. Because the difference of eyes on the event, when it's if Fury and Joshua get made, the level of eyes on the event and what that could do for a location that wanted to promote themselves is like a million times what he did with this. But he's showcasing what he can do.
It looked great, man. I enjoyed it. The sound quality was fantastic, and the music that they were playing was great. Like, and Matchroom have been on that anyway. They do great events. They've been doing great events for years in the UK. Like some people in America, they like to make a joke of it or whatever. Tell me an atmosphere better than in the UK when Sweet Caroline is going and everybody's singing and dancing, the party atmosphere. I mean, that's fantastic. Now they're going around the world in lockdown, doing productions out in Gibraltar and stuff like that. That was stunning, bro. The whole week. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I can't lie to you. I mean, it's why it was Eddie, but I've also heard other people on the stream say that the reason why countries would pay hand over fist for events like this is because, like we did in the Caribbean when we wanted to host the Cricket World Cup some years ago, the governments came together, pooled their resources, says, look, you bring the World Cup here, each island that pitches in gets a game, and it showcases it's really a tourism thing.
That was a beautiful thing, by the way. I remember seeing that.
Right. So it helped tourism. Tourism every island got a boost because people came because they're like, oh, where's this island? Where's that island? No, you see Gibraltar. So somewhere like Nigeria might want the Anthony Joshua fight. The government will pitch in. That's why Eddie was complaining.
They don't need the government to pitch in Nigeria. The amount of billionaires they've got who just could just fund it anyway.
Countries like that will use the opportunity to say, look, it's a good idea for us to, if we have to, pitch in, because it'll put a lot of eyes on our country, right? So that's why I think Eddie was saying, like in the UK, I don't know if he was joking or he was serious. He was saying the government needs to maybe help in getting the Joshua Fury fight to stay in England.
He's actually been saying that before lockdown.
Okay.
So, I think part of the reason that he's been saying it is because the Saudi government funded the site fee for Andy Ruiz, Joshua too. So
the importance of production and all of that. I said earlier, Eddie's winning. He's winning right now. I don't see nobody else. I don't know what PBC is gonna do, or I don't know if they got something. I don't know if they're pooling or holding back revenue to do something big later in the year. But it's going into the 4th month now, and I don't hear nothing big being planned other than that big extravaganza, which is Ruiz Areola. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, Mark,
Yeah. Yes.
undercard fights. Undercard fights. We were talking about. I talk about Congo and Mickinson just now. Did you watch that fight?
I did. Congo was terribly disappointing for me, man. Very
Oh wow.
disappointing. He didn't do anything. He was getting dominated with his full position, so it showed very lack of experience against Southpaw. He was hardly throwing punches. He was losing most of the exchanges. He was getting jabbed more often than not, and it wasn't until the 6th round he got going and getting dropped. I personally believe he was lucky if you gave him 3 rounds. I mean, I don't know. He was getting a lot of hype from people. He was getting a lot of hype. People saying, I remember a few people were like, this is the best prospect coming out of the UK and stuff. Some people after Kelly lost, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'll have to see how he looks against McKinson because he's a crafty guy and he showed craft in there. Yeah, wasn't the best look for Congo. Not the best look.
The thing for me with it though, I just thought it was a good matchup in that there were 2 British level fighters and we're trying to find their level, and Chris came up short, but that's okay. So that's
I get that. I just come from the perspective of it was a little bit disappointing when I'm having people telling me Congo's going to be this, like people coming onto my channel and telling me this Congo's going to be this.
Yeah, see, I don't get exposed to that much.
Yeah.
So I knew there was some hype around it, but when it's a prospect, I expect a bit of hype. But
yeah,
I want to at least see him get thrown in and find his level. And I thought it was an acceptable type of fight for that.
We've just seen 2 prospects with a bit of hype around them lose in the UK in the welterweight division, and now Conor Ben's fighting Sammy Vargas soon, so he looked good against Formella. Let's see how he does against Sammy Vargas.
Well, this is the thing that I think gets missed by a lot of people. If you have a good work ethic and you're willing to learn, you can get better. People want to just say someone's fixed at a certain level, and that's it. And it's a very lazy attitude to judge fighters.
It is. There's plenty of fighters. I mean, Calzaghe early in his career, some people wrote him off like after his 10th, 11th fight as a prospect because he was performing poorly. He's getting tagged up quite a bit and he was nicking results. And he went on to be 46 and now a Hall of Famer.
But he had a fantastic work ethic, and that gets so undervalued, particularly in a sport as hard as boxing.
Exactly. Look at didn't Steve Collins go over to America and come up short against Galambe and what's his face, Mike McCallum, and he just worked tirelessly. Went down as one of Ireland's greats. So,
yeah.
That's all it is. Just show a bit of grit and determination. But yeah, I didn't enjoy the McKinson Congo fight. I thought it was a bad fight, to be honest. I thought it was boring.
I thought McKinson has this style where the guy just kind of flings himself in there, just wings punches and grabs you up. He scores. It's kind of, is it an amateur? I don't know what kind of style it is, but Congo couldn't get a read on him for a while. You know, didn't really know what to do. And even when he would catch McKinson would catch him with like 2, and it would stagger him. So, you know, maybe Congo was put off by his style. You know,
I think it was an experience against the southpaw, because if you even watch that fight back, and I urge you to do this, you'll notice he never gets the foot positioning right, but instead what he did was he stopped playing the foot position game and made himself as long as possible using his reach just to get into the fight. So his foot was like maybe a half a foot away, so it was never a factor. And he was just using the long jabs. That was the adaptation he made because he couldn't get the foot positioning correct for the first 4 rounds.
It does make you wonder, though, what he's been doing in training camp. He knows he's going to be fighting southpaw.
Yeah.
You should know that you should be trying to get your foot outside southpaw. It's not like it's a secret.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fairly standard thing you should at least be trying to practice.
Oh, yeah. 100%. But it
might be you just couldn't do it under the lights. I don't know. Well,
let's give him another go again. Let's see how he goes. Give him another couple fights. Give Kelly another couple fights, maybe 4 or 5 fights down the line. Those 2 dudes, they can meet each other. They can improve. I mean, just because you lose This level doesn't mean anything. Remember the guy lost to George Groves at British level? Dillian White
I,
lost to Josh at British level?
I like to see how fighters come back from a loss.
Yeah.
That's a test of character, and it's an important test of character. There's nothing wrong with losing. Nothing wrong with it at all.
No.
Mark, Metcalf, Cheeseman.
Oh, one of the best fights this year. Absolute war. Fucking crazy. Crazy. Those two dudes just slugged it out, man. They had big balls in there. Ted Cheeseman's always an entertaining fight, ain't he? Always.
It depends what you want, Mark. You know, if you're into slicksters, he's not the guy for you.
I mean, look.
I like Ted Cheeseman. He's found his level. I think he's a decent British champion, and he'll do well on undercards. I mean, that's his level, isn't it? And
But that was like a Gatti Ward kind of fight, man.
But there's nothing wrong with that, Mark. But that's his. You know, we know his level. You know what you're going to get with him, and if you like a bit of brutality, you'll be entertained, and that's fine.
What would you rather watch, McKinson versus Congo or Cheeseman versus Metcalf?
But McKinson versus Congo wasn't exactly super technical fight neither. That
Fair enough.
That was just two prospects trying to find out the level.
Yeah,
All right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that the McKinson fight and Congo just looked like two young dudes who, wasn't really sure about each other, and they're trying to make something out of something. But Cheeseman, I don't know, man. I mean, fine. I'll watch Cheeseman because I know what's coming. It's gonna be a brutal fight. It's gonna be a lot of action because that's just what he does, right? But if he attempts to take a step up, does Cheeseman have a future above that level, Mark?
No, he already proved that when he fought Sergio Garcia.
He can't get better. Fight again.
No. If you Cheeseman, like in Fitzgerald and Fowler and all those guys, I think they're all like that British level. The 154 division, some people say it's not that strong. It's one of the most in-depth divisions out there. Like when you start talking like anywhere near world level, like you get into guys like Michel Sorrow, who gave Brian Castano a hell of a fight, and Patrick Teixeira and everything. These are all really, really solid guys, Adamez and everything. The idea to me of Cheeseman's already failed at European level. Garcia didn't even use more than one punch for most of that fight. Do you remember that fight, John?
Yeah,
Garcia versus Cheeseman.
I mean, that's kind of what I was saying about him. He's found his level. He's a good British champion. That was for the Lonsdale belt. And there's a place for that in boxing, and I'm quite happy with that. That's my point about Ted. We know his level. He's British level.
And he's fun.
Yeah, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
You see, here's the thing with Ted, right? I don't think he needs to go above this, because let's say I was going to a fight. Let's say I'm going to Joshua versus, let's say it's Usyk or something, right? Down the line or whatever. I'm going to Joshua Usyk. It's at Wembley Stadium. If I hear that Ted Cheeseman's on the undercard, that's going to make me want to go even more, because I know what I'm getting. I'm getting banged for me buck with that dude. I'm getting banged for me buck.
That's his role.
In Britain, is it like Fowler and these people?
Yeah, Fowler, Fitzgerald, Ted Cheeseman, and all those boys.
There could be some pretty good domestic level fights amongst all of them, and
Anthony Fowler and Ted Cheeseman would be fire.
I want to see that fight, and they could do it a couple of times, because it's going to probably be a horrible war.
You could get the Fitzgerald versus Fowler rematch, Fitzgerald versus Cheesy rematch.
And these are all, you need these sort of undercard fights. You need them.
Do you know what else I'd like to see? Fitzgerald versus JJ Metcalf.
Yeah, like Metcalf did okay. Just because he got knocked out at the end, he was in the fight for a large part of the fight.
It was a very competitive fight. Rounds were swings. Lots of them were swings.
I thought he was close up until the knockout. I wasn't really sure he was ahead.
I had Cheeseman up 6-4.
By how many rounds?
Gone in. Was it the 11th round that he knocked him out in?
I can't remember if it was 11th or the 12th. I think it was the 12th.
On the bell.
Let me check. Which round was it? You see, that's how good the fight was. I lost track of the
No,
round.
it's the 11th.
Yeah, I had it 6-4 going into the 11th to Cheeseman.
But there were swing rounds there, man.
Yeah, there were swing rounds. 3 of them were swings on my card.
And I wasn't really paying that attention. I wasn't scoring it. I was just watching it for fun.
All right, let's get we know Campbell Hatton.
Yeah.
Campbell Hatton, Mark.
Give him time. Let's see. Give him time. That's all I say. That's all I ask of people. I actually, when I was live streaming, like, I'm a Ricky Hatton fanboy, right? Always have been. I was watching him fight. He looked okay. He went gung ho, and he was gassing in the last 2 rounds, right? Like, he went from hurricane, down to gale winds, down to windy, down to light breeze. You know, it's kind of how it was. But look, it was his first fight. Nervous energy. His dad was there watching him. He wasn't too pleased with his performance. He said he can do better than that. He's just come out of the novices as an amateur. I get that he's on a pay-per-view card based on his dad's name. Probably doesn't belong there. He should have been in a small hall show, like on an undercard, like
That's my thing with this. Is I had the same energy for Conor Benn. It's like I don't need to see development fights on undercards for pay-per-view.
I get dad's
name. It's like he might get good. Like Conor Benn has shown a huge amount of improvement, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm not actually interested, but I didn't need to see all the learning.
Like, I saw the most ridiculous thing. Somebody said, throw him in there with Teofimo Lopez, see how good he is. This kid's preparing to fight at 130. They want to throw him in there. He's had 15 amateur fights. Teofimo's had over 200 amateur fights, and he's a unified world fucking champion. You want to throw him in there with that dude? Like, that's what are people thinking? Like, I don't even know.
Was that? I mean, that type of comment, it just sounds ridiculous. Like a lot of hate, really.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, give the kid some time, and we'll see how he is. Like, he looks fun, right? He's a body puncher. He's aggressive. He looks fun. So he's 19 years of age. Let him develop into his strength, into his man strength. Maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, who knows what we could be looking at, right? I remember when Ricky was just coming out of the amateurs, he didn't look the finished article at all, and he had way more experience. Ricky went to the World Juniors and everything. Ricky was a very seasoned amateur. Over about 80 fights, right, John? 75 wins, over 80 fights?
Something like that. But, I mean, he'd got an amateur pedigree. Because, I mean, in those days, pretty much everybody would have some sort of amateur pedigree to make it anywhere.
And back then, it meant a lot more to go to the World Juniors. It was harder. It was really hard to get to the World Juniors and stuff. So, all in all, like, the kid, he's exciting, he's fun, he's aggressive. When I say exciting, I just say exciting in the ring because you don't know what's going to happen. Give him time, see how he grows. I'm not going to say he's going to be anything major or special, but you know what? It's like Conor Benn, it's like Chris Eubank when he first came out. I mean, give these kids time to see what they do.
I think the thing is, they're going to have thick skins because if Eddie's going to put them on undercards for pay-per-views, they're going to get stick because it's the sort of thing that should be happening in small hall shows. On an undercard in a small hall show, not even a headliner.
I guess that comes from their last name, right? Where you can sell their last name to get a few more viewers, right?
Exactly that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of people were talking about it. And I'll be honest, I'm going to be biased when it comes to Campbell. Until, like, if he comes to the level, like, and he gets to a world level kind of caliber, I'm going to be crazy on that kid. That kid's going to be impervious to doing no wrong, but I'm just being honest right now. You just need to give the kid time. He shouldn't have been on a pay-per-view card, but you know what? He signed with a pay-per-view company, didn't he? He signed with one of the biggest companies out there.
Yeah, you know, if you sign with Matchroom, and you know what's coming.
Like, if you want them to be, isn't he with Joshua's management team as well?
Yeah, he's with 258 management. Like, people need to remember, this dude just had his first professional fight, yeah? He has 89,200 followers on Instagram. He's nearly got 100K followers on Insta. One fight into his career.
Well, I suppose if Eddie knows that's going to sell a load of pay-per-views, he's going to put him on there.
He's going to do it.
And I'll probably just be making a cup of tea until he's about another 10 fights in, and I can make my mind up how good he's going to get.
Exactly.
Fabio Wardley versus Eric Molina.
John?
I paid more close attention to this fight. I was interested to see what he was going to do. I'm not overly convinced by Fabio, but again, he's having a really steep learning curve. He's got a white collar boxing background, hasn't he?
What's that?
So it's like semi-pro, but it's not really as good as being an amateur. It's for people that go to the gym that want to get into a boxing ring.
Essentially, like white collar boxing is essentially like, let's say, this could be considered white collar. I don't know if John will agree. Let's say me and my mates, we all work at like a warehouse and we want to raise money for a charity or something like that. So we agree to do white collar boxing and we get like everything set up and we do that for charity.
Yeah, so, I mean, but there are leagues and some people.
There are leagues and you make money and stuff.
It's kind of, but ultimately it's not as good as being an amateur. And So basically, he did some sparring in Dillian's gym. Dillian liked him and signed him, which is why he was on the card. He's been on Dillian's cards. He's got some good attributes. He's got some really good reflexes, very good hand speed. But I don't like his hands down, straight up style. If he'd been caught by someone better than Molina, that would have been that as far as I'm concerned.
He reminds me of like a heavyweight Josh Kelly, and I'm not a Josh Kelly fan. So that's not a great thing. Like how he fights with the hands down, like his fighting style suggests that he's better than he is.
I want to see him instead of trying to use his head. So certain things that he's doing, like he's shifting his head and his waist out to the side, like John said, a better fighter would have creamed him. I'm sorry, bro. He would have got overhand. Like, he would have gotten smacked.
I mean,
for some of those mistakes.
Molina had him rocking, and to his credit, he reacted by putting Molina out. But
he did. But
the caveat is that's Eric Molina.
Like, I'm asking myself, if let's say Eric Molina is not in front of him, right? But someone like Otto Wallin is. I'm not even going like some people like imagine that's Fury or Joshua or White.
Forget that. No. I think Bacoli. I think Wallin.
If that was Bacoli in front of him, he may have got fucking wrecked, son.
Exactly.
May have got wrecked.
Exactly.
Or even Bacoli's last opponent. Yeah, Hergovich did knock him out. But his last opponent, like Bacoli's last opponent, Kuzman. That could have been rough for him in there too.
But all of these guys have got more experience and better fundamentals. So if he went away and worked on his fundamentals, maybe it could be a big improvement.
How did you score the first 2 rounds?
I thought Eric was doing all right. I thought Molina was getting some success, to be honest.
I gave him round 1 and 2.
I felt like they were both kind of swing rounds. I wasn't convinced by anything that Wardley was doing. And I think Eric got confident, which is why he went in to try and hurt Wardley. I think he sensed the upset there.
Yeah. Maybe if he had waited a couple more rounds, he could have got it.
I do actually think Fabio's got something, but he really needs to go to school.
He has a few
his technique.
He has a few things. One he has is he actually does have nice feet. Now he needs to use them properly. He needs to move around a bit better. He's got a good jab. He's got solid power to him. I mean, his jab is awkward, but when he's using head movement instead of a guard with his jab, if he were to use a guard with his jab, it'd be better. Because when he's doing that head movement thing, he doesn't know which angle to take up with people sometimes. And it means they can come in over the side of him. He's kind of gone square up. They can lead hook him. It's a bit weird. It's just a bit unorthodox.
And when you're going to stand up straight like that as well, it's
Yeah.
just asking for trouble. But his
he's
hand
entertaining.
speed, his hand speed is really good.
Who's his trainer?
Who is Wardley's trainer, John?
I'm not sure because Dillian signed him. I don't think he's with Zav though. I know Yusuf's with Zav.
I'll find out for you. I'll ask Barton when he comes. I'll send him a message.
To be honest, if he was actually with Zav Miller, I think it would do him a lot of good because he'd instill some decent fundamentals into him, which would give him a much better chance. I mean, for me, he's always going to be a bit of an undersized heavyweight. I know he's tall, but he was pretty soft at 232 pounds last night. I don't think getting any bigger would do him any favors. I think actually being lighter would help him.
I saw Gorman and what's the other kid's name? I think he's at Warren too. Adele. How you say his name?
David Adelaide.
Yeah, Adelaide. Them two will seem to be interested in fighting Fabio Wardley. I guess they see him as like something as like food or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Gorman would get on with it.
I'm not sure on Nathan Gorman, that fat slob.
I don't think you've forgiven him. I think.
No, I haven't forgiven him. I'll be honest. I thought he was going to go out there and do exactly what Joe Joyce did. Jab and move. He didn't. He came out lead hooking like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but he didn't really have the dimensions to jab and move. What's his reach? He should not be a heavyweight. Let's just be honest. If he was lean, Nathan Gorman.
Nathan Gorman. Have you ever seen Nathan Gorman in person, John? He's huge.
How huge? Like, because his dimensions aren't very long. He's a fat
his
bastard.
Dimensions might not be. He's
a fat bastard.
He's 6'4.5", and he's very wide. Like even if he's
I believe he's wide.
I don't think he can get below 200, mate. I don't.
Yeah, but that's a cruiserweight.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think he can get below it at all. Like I'd say the lowest he could get is like 215. He's just really like wide. He's really a wide man.
So he's like barrel chested. Is that what you're saying?
He is.
Because TV won't show you that very often.
No, he's very like he's just like built like a shit brick house, but he's fat as hell as well.
Because he's really challenged in the reach department though. What's his reach like? He's got proper T-Rex arms, doesn't he?
I think it's like 74, 75.
Yeah. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm 65 pounds, and I've got a 76-inch reach. Like he's got real T-Rex arms. Like, that's like, if you're gonna jab and move, I don't know how you can have that style at heavyweight because he's got to fight on the inside.
Oh God, he's got a 73-inch reach. Oh.
So like his style is to be a mover and a slickster, and he's got T-Rex arms. I just don't see how it's going to work at heavyweight.
It's the funniest thing in the world. He's got a short reach, right? He's fat as hell, and he's a back-footed slickster.
Yeah, I was gonna say his style doesn't work with his short reach then because he fights like the kind of like the Tyson Fury, Huey Fury style, where it's kind of like
he's what is it? Is he cousin of Tyson?
Yeah, he is.
What's the actual real Gypsy King Gorman?
Bartley.
That's it. That's their granddad, all of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I share some highlights of his Powell Sauer fight, will Frank block my video?
Possibly.
It's not even worth it, Kong. Just isn't. It really is. Frank's.
I haven't even watched it. I saw Hutchinson get messed up by Lennox Clark, though. Big whoop to Lennox.
Oh,
is that the kid's name? Is it Lennox Clark?
It's Lennox something. I don't know. I didn't see the fight. I just heard it all going off when I was watching the fight.
Yeah, who's the current British heavyweight champion? Who is the current British heavyweight champion? Who's that? Is it
Joe Joyce?
Joe Joyce.
Yeah, that was Daniel Dubois. That was for the British title.
Wants that belt. So
I don't like Gorman's chances against Joe at all.
He says he wants that belt. That's his goal. He says he wants. So is Joe Joyce going to abdicate that belt, or is he going to continue to defend it?
He'll probably end up abdicating that belt if him and Usyk sign to fight, because that'll be for the WBO interim. So if it's him and Usyk next, they'll be guaranteed like a shot at a heavyweight title. You could see, because Joyce is the Commonwealth, the British, and the European champion, right, John? He's like the unified, like, regional champion.
Has he got a European?
Yeah, him and Dubois was for the European.
Okay. I knew his Commonwealth. Wasn't sure about European.
Yeah, all those were on the line, but all of them.
Joyce beat up Lenroy Thomas, I think, and got it.
But people sleep on Joe because they don't understand timing and they look at his hand speed.
Okay, all right. So I have the trainer for Fabio Wardley. His name is Matt Brennan, from Ipswich. I don't know who he is, but that just Spartan Icons just.
Tropical Ipswich, wonderful place. I don't know what Ipswich is.
You're not missing anything.
I've never been to Ipswich.
I have. I've been on an away match at Ipswich. There's nothing there.
Oh, don't do that. I might have some Ipswich people want to like the video still, please.
Yeah, if there's anybody from Ipswich, here, beautiful place. And if there's nobody here, it's a dive.
It's not even a dive. It's just there's nothing there. It's farmland.
Ignore John Dealey, please. He's a.
To be honest, I love farmland.
There's not enough people there. You want to concentrate on my city in London. There's a lot more of us.
Birmingham.
It's a pretty big city.
Yeah, there's lots of knives in Birmingham.
There's also there's lots of nice parts of Birmingham, though. Yeah,
but there's lots of knives in Birmingham.
Is Fabio Wardley going to be something in another 2 years?
No.
Oh.
Give him time.
2 years. You don't see Wardley at least.
I'm being very different than normal. I'm like, give him time. Like, even with Congo, I said I was disappointed, but give him time. Let's see how he comes back.
The issue I've got is the heavyweight division is really hotting up. It's extremely competitive. There's a lot of people that I just don't see. I can see Wardley getting to British level, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't see him getting better than that.
Yeah, but Garvin's a nice fight, actually. I'll watch it. Competitive.
It would be funny if Fabio won that.
Well, Garmin is not going to fight Joe Joyce, and I don't want to see. I don't want Joe Joyce busting up Nathan.
That's a pointless fight. There's no interest in that.
There's zero.
Garmin doesn't even look like he does any running. It's okay to be a bit pudgy, but he just.
I don't think it is okay to be a bit pudgy. You go back in history, the old heavyweights, they weren't fat.
I'm not here to tell you you have to be shredded up, or because I'm not a shredded up man, and I played good basketball in my life, but I enjoyed a good barbecue chicken, right? So okay, fine. You're not shredded up, but he doesn't look like he does any sort of weightlifting, any sort of nothing. He just doesn't do nothing, right? You don't have to do those, but okay, fine. Even if you lift weights, you could still be in shape, well proportioned, but you don't have to have a six-pack. This dude don't look like he does nothing, bro. Nothing. No dieting, no nothing. That's a problem for me. He needs to get with Eddie Reynoso and then get legs like Andrew Ruiz or something.
Look, there's no reason for Nathan Gorman to be 270 pounds plus. Let's be real.
There's no I know you're saying he's a big guy, but
like he should be 240, 230, bro. No, it's not that big.
Like Tyson just about carries 270, and I'm not sure what his gas tank's like at 270.
And people complain about his physique, and he's 6'9".
Gorman doesn't do anything.
Allegedly,
he doesn't do anything. He looks like me. I don't do shit.
There's just no excuse for it. If you actually do boxing training, you don't need to do any weights. If you shadow box consistently for 12 rounds when you don't have a fight, that should be enough to keep weight off you if you're responsible with your diet. You don't need to be doing all this other stuff that you're referring to, Iron Kong. Shadowboxing is an excellent workout.
I hear you.
If you did 12 3-minute rounds with 30 seconds rest, shadowboxing, when you just didn't have a fight to tick over, that would stop you getting fat.
But
particularly if you were responsible about what you put in your body.
What I was gonna say, dieting. Right? Even simple dieting will cut you down, but he doesn't look like he does anything, nothing.
Yeah, well, he does look like he does something. He looks like he goes to the pub and the chip shop and the kebab shop and every other.
I bet you his idea of a salad is like that salad they put on your kebab.
Oh yeah, that's how he gets his salad.
Don't do
Kebab
that.
meat and chips.
And he looks at his sauces as just fats, yeah.
I happen to like a good kebab, by the way. I like kebabs. You know what I'm saying?
I like kebabs too. Kebab's great. Love them.
I like loads of junk food and I don't eat any of it. Because
John's a fitness buff. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Well, when you're old, you have to make a choice. I'm not young enough to burn the candle at both ends anymore.
No, fine, John. Okay, John. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm 45 soon.
Thank you, John.
Anyway.
Thank you, John. Remind me.
And this is a current picture.
As a man. I don't know anything about no Yusuf Kamari. I don't know who Nick Webb and Eric Pfeiffer are. I don't know these people, so I don't know if y'all want to talk about them before I get into the main event.
NC Kamari, I saw Pfeiffer. The Pfeiffer looked like Huey Fury for a minute. Not boxing, just he literally looked like him. Webb beat the crap out of him, and that's that one. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Can't say much on it. He just got ragdolled, didn't he?
I didn't start watching the fights until Chris Congo came out. I only sort of half watched that, to be fair.
And we move swiftly into Povetkin and Dillian White. No, after the fight, I was actually at the table watching this fight. The phone was under the table because I was at a family dinner with my wife and her family, and I was not enjoying it. So thank you to the Zone for that wonderful app where I can watch it over there and watch some violence while these people talk about old-time stories that I don't care about. So immediately after the fight, I should say, I must talk about this. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people don't like Dillian White. They were pissed that he won this fight.
Where was that coming from, though? Was that an American contingent? Because a lot of the Wilder fans are still angry at Dillian White for having the temerity to call out Deontay Wilder.
Dillian White and their disdain for him. It doesn't make sense to me. But let's talk about the fight either way. Povetkin, White 2. Mark, I'll start with you. Your impressions of the fight, sir.
I was very impressed. Dillian, he did take some shots in there.
Still there?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Is Mark still there? John, you there?
I'm here. I can hear Mark.
Oh, Mark's gone.
I can hear him, though. Can you hear me?
Is John Dealey gone too?
I think
Mark's back.
I can hear you.
Mark, you're back.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, John.
Because
is John there?
Iron Kong couldn't hear me before.
Kong, John is here. John is here. John, you need to refresh.
Yeah,
I'm not hearing John at all.
I'll come off.
Right. I don't know what happened there, but my impression of the fight was I'm very proud of Dillian. In all honesty, I just respect him for what he did. At the end of the fight, I'm under the impression, for me, even without, and this will be controversial to someone maybe like John, I would be willing to put Dillian in the Hall of Fame, personally.
Big step, boys.
Without ever having fought for a world title. He's got one of the best contender resumes I've ever come across, especially in modern boxing. That win was a very good win. Povetkin, he nearly beat Povetkin in the first fight and he got caught with a perfect punch. He instantly fights him again. He's willing to fight him right again. Povetkin, it was postponed. Rona, then they fight and he stops him. He did take some shots from Povetkin, and I wondered how he'd deal with them, and he dealt with them, and he just kept putting on Povetkin, and he kept hurting him, and he took him out, man. I was just very impressed with Dillian, his character, and then at the end of the fight, the way he walked over with the stool to make sure Povetkin was okay, and make sure that he had 2 stools to sit on, was one of the classiest things I've ever come across. So I've got nothing but respect for Dillian. Nothing but respect for him as a fighter.
John, you back?
John?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I've got a huge amount of respect for Alexander Povetkin, and I don't want to take away any credit from Dillian because he did everything that he needed to do. But I am questioning what Alexander's punch resistance is like now. There's no way anyone could have really known that going into the fight. And Dillian did everything that was required of him. And it was a good, entertaining fight, but his legs never seemed like they were under him from the first heavy shot he took in the first round. So either Dillian's hitting harder than he was in the last fight, or there's been some slippage from Alexander. But either way, he got back in there, he avenged his loss, and he got straight back in there and did it. When a lot of people don't want to do that. And I really don't understand the lack of credit that Dillian gets, because people have got a lot to say about Dillian, but Dillian on his Instagram today put out that, you know, a huge amount of respect to Alexander Povetkin. He wrote something along these lines. A huge amount of respect to Alexander Povetkin. In the ring, it's all war, but out of the ring, we're all brothers in arms. And he just showed class, like Mark was talking about. So we're talking about a guy that will bring it, will fight anybody, and afterwards, he'll either take his loss like a man and rematch, or he'll give credit to the loser. So I don't understand why people have a problem with it.
I think it's one of the strangest things that in boxing, where someone like Dillian White doesn't get credit from people who are supposedly boxing fans. I don't see nothing about this man that tells me anything that he's a hoe in any way, right? He can be very emotional at times, but Dillian White, I think Mark said it correctly. Dillian White's resume is better than certain former champions. He hasn't fought. He never got a chance at a world. Well, he had an opportunity to fight Joshua for the world titles. He said no for whatever reason. But there's certain people that want to criticize Dillian White. Why? Because Dillian White is doing what their favorite fighter is not doing. Really, he's not cherry picking. He's fighting the fights, fighting tough fights. He's not going around looking for the best shepherds out of Moldova to fight. He fighting tough fights. It's a very difficult thing to get absolutely cleaned out and then go fight the same guy who just beat you months after. That's what Joshua did. Dillian White didn't look no excuses when Povetkin knocked him out. And that man walked back in there and said, no, I'm going to fight him one more again. Let me go. And he fought that man. And he dominated him. But people were saying, like, I think Wodak is here saying he looked shot to pieces. Alexander Povetkin was getting dominated by Dillian White in the first fight. Didn't look no different. He was down on the ground twice, but nobody said he looked shot to pieces after he knocked out Dillian White. But no, Dillian White knocks him out, he looks shot to pieces. At some point, y'all gotta give the man credit, give him y'all support. And that's just my opinion. Yeah. Y'all there or y'all done?
I think the big thing that people miss about Dillian is that they can if they're not going to recognise that he's taking on the challenges, it doesn't really matter, because Dillian's on pay-per-views making excellent money with no world title because he is taking on tough fights. And I think in the long run, it's going to make him a better fighter as well.
That's true. That's true. I think one of the things that certain people have said to me on my stream, like what you said, they hold that against him, like, oh, Dillian White, making all this money, not even a champion. I'm like, that's because he's fighting tough fights. He's not fighting people like Gerald Washington. He's not fighting people like Sefa Safiri. I bet you Eddie Hearn not gonna have no problem finding the money for Dillian White to fight nobody in England. But they had trouble finding money for Tyson Fury to fight Ajit Caballero, right? Tyson Fury, the best heavyweight in the world. Well, supposedly had issues finding money or whatever. But you gotta give the man his respect. These days, we're more accustomed to fighters just doing their social media shit.
The thing is, it doesn't work. All these people who are concentrating on raising their profile on social media, they're not making the money that Dillian's making.
That's right.
And it's because he's fighting fights that people want to watch.
Ultimately, you have to perform your craft. You're a boxer. You make money from boxing. It don't matter how much Instagram followers you got. Ultimately, you still have to perform on your job. Your job is to be a boxer. And a lot of these dudes are not performing on a job. Dillian White did.
At the end of the day, I paid £20 for that. I paid £20 for his last fight against Povetkin, and I've been a satisfied customer from both fights because
I paid for that. I paid for that. I paid for the last fight with Povetkin. I paid for the Rivas fight. I paid for the Chisora 2 fight, and I paid for the Parker fight. Every headline pay-per-view he's been on, I bought them all of them.
I paid for all of them, and I feel like Dillian's delivered, including his loss, because when he did lose to Povetkin, he went out on his shield. But that's the only way you're going to beat him.
He made no excuses either.
No, nothing.
None.
Dr. Woodok says, I'm not critiquing Dillian at all, but Povetkin's punch resistance and balance is gone. Dillian's resume should have earned him several title attempts already. Okay?
True. That's all true. I don't know where Povetkin's punch resistance was, but to be honest, right, in the first fight, Dillian wasn't throwing haymakers in that first fight, and he was hurting Povetkin, and he caught him with a couple of left hooks and dropped him. In this fight, he was landing haymakers on Povetkin, and Povetkin wasn't going down. So I don't, and I'm sorry, but if Dillian White's landing haymakers on people, he's fucking sleeping them. A lot of them. He's going to sleep people. So I don't think Povetkin's punch resistance is as gone as people think. I just think he's been older.
I'm not sure, because I did qualify my statement on that maybe Dillian was hitting harder. But whatever it was, after the first round, Alexander did not have his legs under him from when he got clocked in the first.
Don't forget, he got hit in the temple with an overhand right in the first round as well, the side of the head. And that was a clubbing shot. Like Dillian followed through with it with heavy weight.
And that's the best condition that Dillian's looked at. 247?
Oh, he looked fantastic in there, bro. Physically.
So he weighed, saying that he weighed against Anthony Joshua, and he looks like a completely different person.
Yeah.
After the fight, Dillian was, did some interviews and about who he wants next. He didn't say Wilder's name, and I'm not wrong. I'm not mad he didn't say Wilder's name. That fight's not gonna happen. Deontay Wilder would have to come to the Zone for that fight, the Zone, Sky Sports for that fight, and he's not gonna come. There's something. I don't think he wants to fight Dillian. He's not interested. Wilder is over at PBC. I don't know. I don't even think they know what to do with Deontay Wilder, to be honest with you. Dillian said instead, because Eddie said he wanted to take him to America for a little fight in the summer, and Dillian said, why not let him fight Trevor Bryant, the guy who just, I don't know, Don King's heavyweight, who has the WBA regular title now. So
I've got a name for Dillian.
Who?
Michael Hunter. He was busy casting shade on Dillian after that fight.
Isn't Hunter supposed to fight Hrgovic soon?
Well, they're not getting the deal done. Hunter doesn't look so keen to sign. I think Hrgovic is happy to sign.
So all that shit Hunter been talking about, and all.
I think.
Hold on.
I think what people are leaving out about how keen they are is how much money both guys are being offered to fight, and I don't think either guys have been offered much. And people are saying I think Hrgovic is keen to fight or whatever. I know that Hrgovic hasn't put pen to paper either. Neither guy has.
Fair enough.
And people are lumping the. Hold on, I'm kind of getting pissed off with the one-sided narratives on this story, and people spinning from the Hrgovic side and the fucking Matchroom side and the Eddie side and stuff like that. I don't know who's telling the truth, right? And people saying, well, Eddie will bring receipts on Michael Hunter's ass. He hasn't brought no receipts on Michael Hunter's ass. And that's still starting to bother me.
It's really thing for me, I'll hold my hands up. I'm a bit pissed off with the amount of noise that comes out of Michael Hunter's mouth. So maybe I'm prejudiced against him because of it.
Well, all I know is that the Sauerlands are looking to horse bid this. They want to horse bid it.
Fair enough. A Dillian fight, the money wouldn't be an issue anyway. I think that's a good fight for Michael Hunter and Dillian.
It is. It's a better fight for Michael Hunter, actually. Yeah.
But well, who's Dillian going to fight? Because if Tyson Fury and AJ do 2 fights, he's not fighting for a world title this year. So I think Hunter's a good opponent.
I actually have I have a name in mind. I have a name in mind.
Come on, then.
Alexander Usyk versus Dillian White.
Usyk can't fight no.
Where is he going to fight Joyce? Because that's got Usyk.
They may have ordered that, but if Dillian White and him were to fight each other,
I'd watch it. I'd happily watch it. I'm not sure
when it becomes the undisputed #1 mandatory.
Wait, so look, Mark, it's a great fight. I've got no problem with that fight whatsoever, but I'm not so sure it's very easy to arrange.
Well, I don't think Michael Hunter versus Dillian White is as easy to arrange as people would think either. I don't see. I don't see them risking that with him. I think they'd probably I think Hunter has a bit more punch to him than Usyk would. I think Usyk, his power could be underrated by White's team. I think that'd be more easy to make. I think probably what we'll probably see is White versus Caballel. People may be surprised by that, but
in America,
what?
No, that would happen over here.
No, anyone wants to take Dillian to America, and that's why Dillian was saying then he fight Trevor Bryan.
Then I guess it'll be Trevor Bryan and he'll become the regular champion. If memory serves correct, he called Manuel Charles' name a few times too, didn't he?
Yep, he did. He's been after that belt for a while because I guess that belt is kind of makes him.
Well, he'll call himself a world champion.
Oh, he did mention that's the same belt David Haye had.
Well, David Haye was elevated to super champion right before the Klitschko fight.
I see.
People forget that. So that's why the Super Bowl was on the line there.
I see. So
that's right, isn't it, John? Haye was elevated to super. That's how Klitschko got the super title by beating Haye.
I can't remember the ins and outs of it, but I'm sure that Valuev had a legitimate world title, didn't he?
No, that he was regular.
You think? Okay.
But anyway,
I'd have to double check it all. I know.
I'll double check it.
David Haye has had a legitimate world heavyweight title. I can't remember whether he got elevated to it or whether it was for beating Valuev.
I'll tell you right now. It's one or the other. I'm pretty sure Valuev was just the regular. So David Haye, he defended his WBA world heavyweight title against Audley Harrison, and against Vladimir Klitschko, he defended his WBA Super World Heavyweight title and lost. So he beat Valuev for the regular.
That sounds like an elevation.
So he was elevated to Super for the fight with Klitschko, so that could be a 3-belt unification.
Well, anyway, gents, anything else y'all want to say about Dillian White? Anybody? Anything else y'all want to say?
Haters are gonna hate. Haters gonna hate, but Dillian's making money, so why should he care?
Congratulations to Dillian, man's a millionaire and one of the best contenders I've come across. There you go, man.
John, Mark said Dillian, in his eyes, might be a Hall of Famer because of his resume, even though he's not a champion.
No. That's not what I said. What I said is, if it was up to me, I'd put him in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's why I said in your eyes, like, you know.
But that doesn't mean because of his resume or anything. I did not say that. Like
I
said, in my eyes, based off of his resume, for me, I would put him in. But in my eyes, they're not going to put him in. I'd put him in, though.
I'm not really interested with the Hall of Fame anymore. It's lost all its credibility.
How so? Who's in there you don't agree with? Who?
Where do you want me to start?
Where to start? Right, John, you name a name, I'll name a name. Let's go. You name
Look, my real issue is
give me
proliferation. Three.
Come on, John.
Gatti.
All right, he's gone Gatti. Barry McGuigan.
Yeah, but that's a good one. He shouldn't be in there either.
No.
That's two.
Vitaly Klitschko shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, no, not
who
really.
the fuck you be, bro? Who the fuck?
No. I'm happy with that. I was had a thing, and I'm quite happy with that. So there's three. We can keep going though.
I can keep. I'll catch a lot of people for a loop with this one. Carlos Zarate shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
The issue I have is it's a result of the proliferation of world titles. So when Henry Armstrong won world titles in 3 weight classes, that was an undisputed world champion in 3 weight classes. Now you have people picking up all these vacant belts, claiming to be 3 weight world champions and getting in the Hall of Fame. It's just not comparable at all. Ricky Burns is a 3 weight world champion. Henry Armstrong should be turning in his grave.
Adrian Broner's a 4-weight world champion.
There we are. I mean, I think Broner's actually got more talent than Ricky Burns, but I've got more time for Ricky Burns than I have for Adrian Broner.
All right. Well, there you go. Gents, thank y'all, man, for coming on and this little shot.
Thanks for having us on, Con.
Always a pleasure, Con.
Peace to y'all, man. Have a nice day. Thanks to everybody in the chat for coming through. Y'all be easy today on this good Sunday. Shout out to Dillian White, proud of you, King. You deal with that man like how you were dealing with him in the first fight. A loss don't mean nothing to me, and it shouldn't mean nothing to you as a fight fan. Peace out. Y'all have a nice day.